Good morning, students. Hope you all are staying safe at home. Today we will be starting a new chapter of history, chapter 6, The Revolt of 1857. As in the previous chapters, we have seen that how many of the social, economic, political, and religious policies of the British it began to dissatisfy the minds of Indians. And in response to this, there were a series of peasants and tribal uprisings in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Because of these uprisings which were being taken over by Indians, they were unorganized and they were easily crushed or suppressed by the British. However, discontentment continued to the same, and it spread through all the Indian population, which manifested itself in a major way in the revolt of 1857. Let us study about the various causes that led to the revolt. As the causes of the revolt of 1857, it had accumulated over years. So the economic cause was the exploitative economic policies of the British, which was responsible for the massive uprising. Where the first one is decline of traditional industries, as the flourishing handicrafts industries, which were being taken over or which were being run by Indian artisans, it was ruined under the British new economic policies, which we have read in the last chapter, which told that because of competition, India turned into a source of cheap raw material and a market for finished goods, where mass produced was there in the Britain, which resulted to the industrial revolution. The second is decline of agriculture and famines. Much of the land which was traditionally reserved for food crop production, it was forcibly transformed into land for commercial crop cultivation by the British, which ruined agriculture and led to severe shortage of food, which caused frequent famines in various parts of the country. And it was very difficult, as the British, they were not suffering, but the Indians, they were suffering from poverty and every of the famine aspects. So the next is land reform policies, as the exorbitant rates of revenue which were being demanded by the British under the new land reform system, it was displaced as peasants from their land, or means they were being forcibly made bonded laborers, and they were in perpetual debt. When the zamindars also, they had taken their land back, and when they failed to pay the revenue on time, this was being done by the farmers, where they were being taken the land back from the farmers, as they are unable to pay the rent on time, revenue on time, or we can say the new owners of the land which is given to the new owner is not was not having any traditional ties with the land. So it declined the agriculture in the country. There were some political causes, as the policy of annexation practiced by the British, it was very unjust, as many of the Indian rulers like Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi and Nana Sahib, they because of this, the rulers, they became the enemies of the British, and they led the revolt in the respective regions. And after all of these, there were social and religious causes also, as social reforms which were being introduced by the British, such as abolition of sati, child marriage, legislation of widow remarriage, and introduction of Western education for women. These were being perceived by some of the Indians as unwelcome interference in their social customs. Okay, the Indians thought that Britishers, they are unwillingly they are interfering into the matters or their old age social customs. So the increasing presence of missionaries was being seen by many of the Indians as an attempt by the British to persuade them to give up their religious beliefs, and they looked upon this as a threat to their traditional culture, and they were because of this, they wanted to fight back. There were military causes also, as though an integral part of the British army, the sepoys, they were having many of the reasons to be dissatisfied. The sepoys, they were paid very less as compared to British soldiers, and they could never hope to rise their ranks, as it was reserved for the British soldiers only. The sepoys, they were considered as the requirements of British Army as a direct threat to their religion. They were banned from wearing turbans, beards, and other religious markers. So, because of this, they were forced to recruit, or we can say they were forced to cross the sea to fight war if required. Crossing the sea, it was a taboo that at that time for many of the Hindus, and it was considered defiling. So there was immediate causes also, as British they introduced the Enfield rifle in 1857, which was greased cartridge which has to be bitten by upon when it has been loaded into the rifle, and the rumor it was spread that it was grease. Uh, the grease was made up out of cow or pig's fat, and cow are considered sacred among Hindus, while eating pigs is a taboo for Muslims. So this enraged the sepoys, as they became convinced that the British they were deliberately again and again they were trying to insult their religion, and they were forcing them to give up their religion. So now let us read about the course of the revolt. On March 29, 1857, Mangal Pandey, a sepoy, at Barakpur, he refused to use the cartridge and open fire on his superior officer. For this open revolt, he was hanged in April 1857. This action it set off tremors, which soon felt in faraway Meerut. Here, let us see how the revolt spread. In Meerut on 24 April 1857, there were some of the sepoys who refused to use the cartridge and mutined. They were sentenced to 10 years of imprisonment, and next day the sepoys they attacked and killed a number of British officers, women and children, and they freed the imprisoned sepoys who were there with them, and together they started marching towards Delhi under the leadership of Bakht Khan. So on reaching Delhi on 11th May, they declared the old and ailing Bahadur Shah Zafar and the Mughal emperor who was the leader. So the British they reacted very fast. They brought reinforcements from around the country, and they recaptured Delhi by September. They captured Bahadur Shah Zafar and exiled him to Burma, where he remained till his death. So in Awadh in 1856, it was also annexed on the grounds of misgovernance under the doctrine of lapse, and its Nawab Wazid Ali Shah he was exiled to Calcutta. Under the revolt, it started in other parts of the country as well, as Begum Hazrat Mahal, the wife of deported Nawab. She joined in this revolt. As soldiers, peasants, talukdars of Awadh who has lost much of their order. So they threw a lot with the Begum. Here in June 1857, the sepoys they were being attacked. And the British residency in Lucknow, where many of the British they were being taking refugee. After 8 months of the siege, the British they finally managed to crush the rebellion and recapture Lucknow under the leadership of Sir Colin Campbell in March 1858. In Kanpur, the revolt was led by Nana Sahib. He was the adopted son of last Peshwa Bajirao II. Nana Sahib he was being denied his right to rule by doctrine of lapse, as British they denied him his pension on flimsy grounds. Assisted by his able commander Tatya Top, Nana Sahib attacked the British troops and forced them into surrender after 3 weeks. However, fresh British troops soon arrived and defeated Nana Sahib in June 1857 and regained full control of Kanpur. In Jhansi, the British did not recognize that Maharaja of Jhansi's he was the adopted son of the rightful heir to the throne, and he annexed the kingdom under the doctrine of lapse. This angered the Queen Rani Lakshmi Bai, and she joined the revolt. After initial failure, she joined forces with Tatya Tope and captured the fort of Gwalior. The British they managed to recapture the fort, and Rani Lakshmi Bai was killed on the battlefield. Tatya Tope escaped and carried on the struggle for a while, but soon he was also captured and he was hanged. So the British they completely suppressed the revolt by July 15, 1858. That was 14 months after the breakout at Meerut. Now, let us study about the causes for the revolt of 1857, as because it was very massive, it was a very big uprising. The revolt of 1857, it was lost by the Indians, and it was crushed effectively by the British because of several reasons. Let us study about them. The first is, not all the sections of society joined the revolt, as there were several Indian rulers like Scindia of Gwalior, Holkars, Nizam of Hyderabad, Nawab of Bhopal, Rajas of Patiala, Nabha, Jind and Jodhpur traders and zamindars who continued to support the British. The Sikh, Rajput and Gurkha, they remained loyal to the British. They started helping the British to suppress the revolts. The sepoys, peasants, and the common people, they were not willing to stand against the Britishers and join the movement by their own. The second is, the revolt largely remained confined with certain pockets. Okay, there were certain regions only where the revolt was carried on in a massive way. In majorly northern and central India, that is Assam, Bengal, Orissa, Rajasthan, some parts of Punjab, and most of the parts of southern India, it was remained unaffected by the revolt. The revolt, it was also failed due to the lack of strong central leadership, as there were able leaders like Rani Lakshmibai, Nana Saheb, Begum, Hazrat Mahal in their respective regions, but single leadership was not there, and because of that, it was a major reason why they didn't fought for long for a common cause. Despite being united in wanting to end British rule in India, the rebels, they lack common vision of what to replace British government with. The rebels, they also lacked the advanced arm and ammunition which was used by British. Their main weapon was their courage only, and the British, they were organized, they were disciplined, they know how to fight with modern weapons like guns and cannons, and while on the other side, the Indians, they lacked the discipline, organization, and they fought with the old weapons like spears, swords and pikes. So now let us read about the consequences of the revolt. As after the revolt of 1857, it managed to shake the foundation of British rule in India. While the British, they continued their rule in India after the revolt, they reviewed their policies and brought some changes in the administration of the country. The most important consequence of the revolt of 1857 was the dissolution of the English East India Company as a governing body in India. By the Government of India Act 1858, the British Parliament, it transferred the administration of India to the British Crown. At the Royal Darbar, held at Allahabad in November 1858, Queen Victoria issued a proclamation which stated some main principles under the Crown, that how to administer India from their own. And the main features of the proclamation was, the office of the Governor General was abolished and that of the Viceroy was introduced. Lord Canning was appointed as the first Viceroy of India, and India henceforth was governed in the name of the Queen. A post of Secretary of State would be created, which would assisted by a council of ministers consisting of 15 members. The doctrine of lapse would be cancelled and the policy of annexation, it was stopped. There was a general pardon which was granted to all rebels except those who were directly involved in killing British subjects. There were all the treaties and agreements which was between the Indian princes and English East India Company would be honored, and their dignity and rights would be respected. The crown would not interfere with the social and religious customs of the Indians, and the British Indian army, it was reorganized extensively. So the number of British soldiers in the army was greatly increased, and artillery was placed exclusively in the control of the British. So students, I hope that you have understood this lesson. Read the same from your textbooks, and if you have any doubt, feel free to ask. Till then, keep learning and have a good day ahead.